She said that American soccer fans, most of them aren't smart. They don't know the game. They don't understand.
Gio.
That guy Gazpacho.
Sports can take a lame gorilla, okay?
Advice, did you know that Arsenal died?
He's got me buzzing.
Up the topies. It's hard to up them anyway.
I'm gonna comment on that.
Welcome back to Footy with the Boys. This is post U.S. men's national team Jamaica disaster, I guess. Still came out with the win, but a disaster in my mind. USA Mexico preview. What will happen there? Who the hell knows? Maybe we do. We'll get into that. But first, our headlines here. Premier League was busy recently with a 4-point deduction for Nottingham Forest. Leicester City also charged here while they're in the championship. So a little fuck you to them as they're on their way back up, it sounds
So
like.
out of pocket.
But
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest getting 4 points. Mike, for me, I kind of liked having Nottingham Forest between us and Luton because I saw Luton as a more of a threat. Is that a stupid opinion to think now that Luton is right next to us and Nottingham Forest is knocked down that I feel like Everton is almost more in danger here of being passed by these teams?
No, I don't think so. I think we're safe. I think we're finally safe. That's what
I
I'm
think
choosing to
that
tell
is
myself.
a massive jinx. I don't like you saying that out loud. That is a stupid thing to say. If we go down, Toffees, this is 100% on Mike.
Doesn't Everton
100%.
still have
Bad
a pending?
take.
I'll take it.
Pending deduction.
No, we should be. Well, fuck yeah, we do. We were also in that second charge with Nottingham. If we end up losing points as well, fuck it. Just take us down. Just
Dude, we're not going
there's no
down.
point. If we're getting another point deduction, it is over. But let's move away from the negative news. We go down, we go back up. It's a Footy with the Boys trademark. We go to Brazil versus England here. Our Premier League friends in England played against this mighty Brazil squad, and they lost to, is he 17 now, or is he still 16? Endrick. With an
17, I believe.
80th minute goal that takes it away from England here. England did not look all that great. You do have Harry Maguire still starting. Gareth Southgate, masterclass manager over there. Mike, Brazil's just different gravy, no? Is England just overhyped and Brazil is just Brazil?
Brazil is just so legit. I mean, so much talent going forward. They don't even have Neymar, who's probably their best player, but Rodrigo, Vinicius, and then Endrick off the bench, Rafinha up top. Talent's endless. Super cool to see the young guy score. He celebrated like he won the World Cup, which is cool to see. I think he'll go to Madrid in the summer, I believe, after he's done with this Brazilian season. So that'll be cool to see him in Europe next year.
Yeah, Madrid is going to have probably the biggest challenge they'll face is just figuring out how to get all the talent on the field with Mbappe, Endrick, Rodrigo, Vinicius. You could list the names at Real Madrid that are young and insanely good for like a day and a half, and you would be halfway through. So Ancelotti or whoever would be the manager is going to have a tough job just managing that part. The winning the games part, I think, might be the easier part there. Germany, who knew that if you got a good manager, that you would end up winning some games and not looking terrible? They win 2-0, and they score within 7 seconds versus France. Florian Wirtz with an absolute banger. And Nick, I happened to see a Gooner on there with a 49th minute goal to boost that lead there for him.
High at the 9, baby. You know, it's what we do. What's the name? Nagelsmann? That's the guy, right? For Germany right now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Nagelsmann saw Arteta's vision, and dude, he's playing out of his mind. So happy that he gets one for the national team as well.
Yeah, certainly good for confidence for Kai in the Premier League title race. Germany here, I think Germany got an absolute coup getting Nagelsmann from Bayern after Bayern were still doing well and just a good title race with Dortmund last year. To get Nagelsmann, a young manager that's very good at attacking and just overall how he puts his teams together, Germany may be back. We will see, though. It'll come down to Euros to really say that much about it, but Nagelsmann, I think, has them in the right direction. Then finally,
France looked horrible. Like France looked really bad in a lineup that was supposed to be like their starting 11. So, yikes.
Yeah, I have zero doubts about France, though. They're
I don't
France.
know, man.
They're a tournament team. They go absolutely fucking crazy. So if you have Kylian Mbappe on your side, I'm not going to doubt you in any way. But Nick,
Those French
there's another-
jerseys, those blues, super
Yeah.
nice.
Oh my god, those are nice. Yeah.
That logo is super sick.
Both Adidas and Nike, to be fair, had some hits on their jerseys. Usually it's one of the other brands that are just laying an absolute stinker, and it's not Adidas.
There's some
So
bangers on both sides.
yeah, bangers on both sides. Nick, there's another tie for you here. It is Colombia, and they got a win versus Spain here. Daniel Munoz with a goal. Luis Diaz on the assist with a dribble. Colombia's looking pretty all right here going into Copa America. Just a reminder for the viewers right before we get into this U.S. segment of the Jamaica recap and the Mexico preview. In Copa America, if we get out of our group, either if we're first or second, the two potential people we're facing are Brazil, who just beat England, or Colombia, who just beat Spain.
Easy.
After the showing versus Jamaica, getting out of the group is about as far as we're gonna fucking go, boys. This could look awfully tough to get anywhere further than just out of the group, and with Uruguay in the group as well. Boys, second place in the group and then exit may be the fate, and that might be the most Gregg Berhalter way, because that I think is the minimum you could do to still have an argument to keep your job. And that is how we get into the Jamaica recap here, because that is exactly what Gregg Berhalter does in just about every game he has ever coached, and it is driving me insane, boys. Jamaica scores within the first 40 seconds of the game. It was a bad defensive lapse by Joe Scally. I think looking at back and watching over the tape, you can see that maybe Tim Weah should have shifted back. Joe Scally was responsible for two defenders. Maybe Weah's responsible. Malik Tillman also has to shift into it to defend something.
Robinson.
It's bad. It is bad. It is sloppy from the U.S. They go down 1-0, and there is zero response. There is zero emotional response where they go out there and say, we are better. We are going to break you down. We are going to get chances. Pulisic was rather silent until the last 5 minutes of the first half. Second half, Gio Reyna comes on. You start to see a little bit more, but it's nothing. It's not knocking on the doorstep. You know one's coming in. And finally, in the 90th plus 5th minute, in the final seconds, the final kick of the game, it is a corner kick that Christian Pulisic takes that is not a goal by the U.S. It is flicked on by Miles Robinson, and then an own goal by Corey Burke, the MLS pro. Corey Burke saves Gregg Berhalter and the U.S., brings it to extra time, and at that point, Gio Reyna and Haji Wright steal the show. Gio Reyna with a beautiful assist on the first goal, and on the second goal, Haji Wright finishing them both off. Gregg Berhalter was about one own goal away from a lot of calls for his head, and I don't think that should change here. Boys, it was a terrible performance. I can't really say anybody had a great showing other than Gio Reyna and Haji Wright. Johnny in his 20 minutes, you could say, was good, but other than that, I mean, it was sloppy. Gregg Berhalter didn't seem like he got the boys up. Chris Richards fell asleep on a ball that was rolling back to him and led up a one-on-one, down 1-0, that could have just completely ended the game. They looked completely out of it. And for a coach, you're supposed to make the sum, the whole greater than the sum of its parts. The U.S. continually shows that they are not just the sum of their parts. They are less than the sum of their parts. You have all this talent. You should, at the very minimum, beat Jamaica and have a decent hold of the game. That is not what happened. Nick, the negatives. There's a lot of them here. Break down what you think the biggest ones were and what the hell happened to our midfield. Because that midfield that we were so excited for with McKennie, with Musah, with Malik Tillman, all these players that are in great form, did not work out. There was zero control of this game.
Yeah, I mean, you just said it, but the midfield was the story of the first half for me. It looked completely dysfunctional. Any possession we had was just passed along our own center backs, whether it be right outside our 18 or at the halfway line. It was gross to watch. Like there was no progressive football being played. There was a couple of line splitting passes, which isn't bad, but even then, like the midfield still wasn't connected to the forwards or to the defense. Like I don't know where the fuck they were. I think the biggest reason that happened is just no one really knowing their roles on that team, and especially in the middle of the park. I mean, we saw Timmy Weah. We talked about it on the live stream. Timmy Weah floating into the midfield a lot, trying to like connect play. We saw Weston McKennie being absent. I mean, I don't know if he did anything at all. I saw him more at right back in the second half, but honestly, like he was kind of tucked in that right wing for the first half too, and giving balls away for fun. It was horrible. And really, I mean, Yunus Musah was the only guy kind of driving the ball, but he had no options anywhere at any time. So I don't think it looked good. Malik Tillman looked solid going forward, but if you have a guy with his height and his physical prowess, why aren't you just playing a ball over the midfield and trying to play off of him there? I didn't understand. I didn't think that I think Gregg put him in there not really knowing what to do with him. He just put him in there because he'd been having good form. So I think the midfield is completely disconnected. I think the easy fix is putting Johnny Cardoso in there because he immediately comes on and he plays as a true six, which again I've said it before, but it's my favorite position to watch. Connecting passes easily, breaking things apart, just keeping things ticking along in that midfield. And he did it beautifully for those 20 minutes. That McKennie, Musah, Tillman midfield, I don't know if I ever want to see it again because that was horrible.
I don't think it works, and I think that just McKennie and Musah are both amazing midfielders, but neither of them feel comfortable having to track back as a potential six. Musah's like somewhat more of the six, but he's a ball carrier. He brings it from the defense to the attack, and he can't really do that as much if he's having to stay back and have defensive responsibilities as much. So I don't like the combo. Mike, obviously some positives. Gio Reyna comes on, absolutely kills it again. It is what he has done, does not show any rust. Haji Wright comes on and shows that we do have a striker that can come in and score immediately, give us some clutch goals. Those are some positives. Do you give any type of credit to Gregg Berhalter for bringing them on as subs and the adjustments he made? I don't think they're necessarily organized changes, but do you give him credit? And what does this show about the mentality of the U.S. team that, you pull it out, but maybe not the mentality or form that you want to see?
Yeah, I will give him some credit. I don't think everything he did worked. I don't think all of it was super well thought out. It looked maybe panicked at times. But the biggest decision he made, and I think the biggest decision of the game, was putting Gio Reyna on right at halftime, not waiting any longer. He recognized what was lacking in the game. Someone who could get on the ball, be comfortable in the middle, and actually find passes, slot through rather than through the wings. So he identified that. He put him on. We started to see more attacking chances occur. And then he puts on Haji Wright and Pepe, which seemed a little forced, maybe a little panicked, but it ended up working out. So he made the necessary changes. He's got a lot of blame on his head, but he's got some credit as well. For the mentality of the team, we looked maybe cocky coming out or not fully invested in this game, maybe thinking about the final already. When you're coming out and your defense is that sloppy and you give up a goal like that off of a set piece, off of a throw-in, I mean, it shows that you're not 100% focused on the match, for sure. Multiple people to blame on that goal. On the other end of it, if you're coming back to win in that manner at the last kick of the game, that means that you never quit. You kept fighting throughout the entirety of the match, which is great to see as well. So lack of focus, but still had some fight, which was great to see.
Yep. And certainly I think a lot of questions are being asked of Berhalter. I know Hercules Gomez said that this is the nail in the coffin. He does not think Gregg Berhalter is the manager for this job. He is a manager for another job, for sure, but this is just not him. It is every single time that we watch the U.S. team play under Gregg Berhalter, the same conversation is had after every single game. We can't break down any type of defense. We don't score. We're searching for goals. It doesn't seem like we're playing well, but somehow we sneak it out versus some low team. the only games that I can say in the past 4 or 5 years that were, wow, we actually looked really good and played to the level of our talent was the 2 games under BJ Callahan, where we beat Mexico in the semifinal handedly, and then we beat Canada in the final. I think it's something to be said that Gregg Berhalter, the only 2 games that he was not in charge, are the games that we look the most free-flowing and attacking, and we're able to get the job done when we're expected to, without it being an absolute cardiac arrest moment.
Like, so
Nick?
how do you explain all this, like, all these players defending Gregg Berhalter? Like, they all say they love him, they all say they want him, but consistently whenever we see them play for him, like, it doesn't look good. I don't understand how everyone keeps defending him from the player side.
I think that, like, quite honestly, the quotes that come out are all that, like Musah was asked, and people are saying, see, this is why we should have Gregg Berhalter. He loves him. They ask him at camp, at training, hey, what is it like to have Gregg Berhalter? And do you like Gregg Berhalter as your manager? What the hell else is Musah gonna say other than, yeah, we love it. We're so excited to play for him. He's got our back. Is he gonna say, yeah, he's making this way too complex. I don't know what he's doing. He's not putting us in the right positions. No player is ever going to say that and absolutely jeopardize their spot. I think the closest we got to that was when he was not the coach, and Joe Scally on an interview said, I mean, yeah, quite simply, I want a coach to come in and make it a lot more simple for us. There was times that it was way too complex with Gregg Berhalter, and we don't have the time to run through his complex system. Joe Scally and Gio Reyna, I think, are people who will call it as it is. I don't think they're as maybe media trained as potentially they should be. Whereas others might say, oh, yeah, Gregg's a great coach, great guy, love working for him. He came out on an interview and said, yeah, no, he's way too complex. This is a national team. We have a week to prepare, and he's trying to throw people in. I also think Gregg Berhalter, after the game, taking a shot at Jesse Marsh. Jesse Marsh, on his podcast on CBS, said, not even said that Gio Reyna maybe shouldn't be brought in. He questioned Gio Reyna is brought in because he's not playing at Nottingham Forest, yet still had in his roster, yeah, I would have Gio as a lock to still come in. Gregg Berhalter in the press conference after the game said, I heard people were questioning if Gio Reyna should come in. That's the reason right there. The reason right there is because you needed to save your ass. You had Weston McKennie playing at right back. You have no space to be talking shit on somebody for questioning that, and they weren't even questioning it, so Gregg Berhalter.
I will say, I do think at a certain point, like, and it just shows where we are as a fan base with him. But at a certain point, it's just everything Gregg does, we criticize, like, we hate, and I get it. But also, big thing that Mike wanted to see coming into the game was, like, immediate changes if things aren't working. That happened. We saw Weston McKennie at right back. We saw Gio immediately brought in. He did not wait to be like, all right, let's see if we can get 15 minutes, like, get our foot in the game. He did so immediately. He brought on all 5 subs. I think all of his subs, for the most part, worked. Pepe was the only one who looked bad. I think Aronson even looked pretty solid. Johnny controlled the game when he came on. So, I think he deserves some credit there. And I understand Gio's a lock, but he should get some. People were questioning. One of those people being me. I was questioning, like, whether or not this person who hasn't played for a while be so featured. Obviously, I was wrong. He's incredible. But I think he's allowed to puff his chest out a little bit there. Maybe not necessarily go after Jesse
I don't
Marsh,
think
which
you
he
do
didn't
it.
do.
Right
He didn't
after
do
the
directly.
game that you deserve to lose versus Jamaica, where you look so terrible, you're gonna puff out your chest as the manager?
After the game that he won against Jamaica, when he made changes at a lot, the poor guy just feels like he's
Listen.
criticized at every single corner. I agree. I still think he should be fired. I'm just saying, like, he deserves some credit for what happened.
I think the more egregious thing that he said in that press conference directly after is, wow, that looks like a team that hasn't played together in 4 months. Like,
Yeah,
no shit,
that
dude.
was my next
That's
point.
the reality. That is the reality of
stupid.
the international team. You don't play together all the time. You get a condensed training period to figure things out before you play matches. And that's how it is. That's how it is for every single national team. And some of them do it effectively. So that excuse is so ridiculous, especially for a dude who's been our coach for 6 years.
6 years. I
you should
can't
be
believe it's been
realizing
6
that.
years of Gregg Berhalter. Blech.
No,
Insane,
it is
dude.
disgusting. But I think that goes back to the same thing that Joe Scally said, that The only real criticism that people have said outwardly from a player perspective is he makes the system too complex for a national team.
Yeah. No,
If
that's
you're
100%
saying,
true.
yeah, this team has not played together for 4 months, make it simple for them. You have more talent than the other team. Just make it a simple game plan. You do
Right.
not have to be Pep Guardiola trying to do something that you can do in club where every single day you can train, every day you can go over tactics. You do not have that. Understand where you are at and what type of job you have. But that'll obviously be a storyline in the final now that they find themselves in versus Mexico. Mexico beat Panama pretty handily, looked pretty good there. No Irving Lozano in their starting lineup, no Santi Jimenez in their starting lineup, and they get the job done versus Panama. Jimmy Lozano has them playing a lot more of the traditional Mexican football way. They're pressing, they're going to get into you, and that might help out the U.S. in this one. Nick, what did you see from Mexico in this semifinal game that you think maybe the U.S. can capitalize on, or you think that maybe Mexico sinks the U.S. on?
The biggest danger is going to be, like you said, the direct football that Mexico is going to play. They played a couple of long balls. They're always looking in to get behind. Our defense didn't inspire too much confidence in those scenarios. Jedi Robinson, by the way, also did not play well. We didn't talk about that. Jesus.
Yeah, poor.
And Joe Scally, even worse. My goodness, what a horrible 45 from Scally. But Jedi really disappointed me. So I'm a little worried there. It's like I think on the the third one, the last goal, that they like chipped the keeper after a long ball that just bypassed the midfield right away. That was pretty saucy. That was pretty cool. So, you're gonna have to be alert at all times from that back line playing right past the midfield and looking to get runners in behind. We'll see if our backline can kind of rebound from that, or if Gregg Berhalter can identify that. We'll see. That being said, Panama created a lot of chances. Ochoa played out of his mind in that game. There was like when that game was still 2-0, Panama could have probably scored 2 or 3 if Ochoa wasn't at the level that he was at. So I think there's gonna be a lot of opportunities. It's gonna come down to what should be the best part of our team, which is our midfield. If we can control this game, then it's gonna turn into a USA controls and Mexico tries to counter. I like theoretically our backs to be able to nullify that threat, especially if Lozano and Santi Jimenez aren't starting again. That being said, what's this midfield going to look like? If it's Johnny, Blank, and Gio, then I think we have a really good chance of doing that. If it's Weston, Eunice, and Malik, I think we're kind of fucked. I think we're going to get baited into the game that Mexico wants to play, and they're going to be able to do it better than us because our guys are lost. So I can't see us. It's weird. We had a slow start, but we also had like an atrocious start because that game changed within 30 seconds. Do you know what I mean? Like it was a different game right from the jump. I don't see that happening again. It's a final. It's El Tri. It's Mexico. We're gonna be locked on. I just don't know if, honestly, based on what we saw, if we have enough to beat this team in the way that we should. Because if we're being honest, if we're talking about the skill levels, if we're talking about the players that are available, it should be 2-3-0. This shouldn't be that competitive of a game if we're talking. So, yeah, I mean, Mexico did some things well. I think they're really, really vulnerable to specifically like that midfield being able to create chances, long shots, and honestly, their defending in the box doesn't look great either. So I don't expect them to play with 11 behind the ball as Jamaica did for probably 60 minutes of that last game. I think we'll have a little bit more joy in the attacking sense. Let's see if we can put our chances away, and let's see if we can maintain our focus.
Well, you know why Panama didn't win, right?
Weren't wearing the jerseys.
They weren't wearing the fucking jerseys, dude.
Yeah. Let's be honest, if you have the chance to wear one of the cleanest kits that I've seen in a long time, you have to wear those ones. They wore just their regular home ones. I'm not sure if there's something about FIFA approval or how long it takes to actually get them out to the national team, but yeah, missed out on those.
As soon as you drop them, like they made an announcement. I think you could wear them as soon as you drop them, right?
Yeah. Who knows? It is the Panama, the Football Federation, so I don't think they have necessarily maybe as much resources as the U.S. to get them into production and out as soon as possible. But yeah, not the jerseys. That seems like a small part of what we should be talking about here in this analysis. Nick, that was a good, I think, preview of what we saw from Mexico. Mike, with that in mind, what do you want to see tactics-wise from our bald-headed leader, Gregg Berhalter, going into this one versus Mexico? I think in some ways it gets a little easier because it's not a 5-4-1 low block, which is Gregg Berhalter's kryptonite
Nemesis. Yeah.
among many. But what do you want to see from him here tactically to see the U.S. come out on top?
More clearly structured midfield. It's a huge thing. A few personnel changes. I think just having a locked-in 6, whether that's Tyler Adams if he's ready for a full game or a longer game, or Johnny Cardoso, would be super helpful. We'd have a guaranteed pivot. It wouldn't require Yunus Musah to play out of position where he's kind of getting lost. His impact is not there. So that's a big thing. Attacking-wise, I expect Gio Reyna to start. I think he has to. It would be insane for him not to. But whoever the striker is needs to alter their play style to benefit Gio. So they actually need to make runs underneath, can't check to the ball. That's kind of why I think Balogun's not the correct option for this game. I think he likes to drop deep to get an impact when Pepe or Haji Wright are more apt to stay up on the back line, make some underneath runs, make some overlapping runs, which would benefit Gio's style of play. I want to see those things. I'd like to see Pulisic a little bit more free roam. He was kind of touched to the sideline all of that Jamaica game. So get him on the ball more. And defensively, I'd like to see Anthony Robinson stay a little deeper, not get on the ball as frequently. Saw it too much last game. That's not his best style of play.
Yeah. And I think tactically, you do need to see changes, but a lot of the things here are just Gregg Berhalter needs to get his boys ready and have the idea of playing a clean game of football here because they were anything but clean. Versus Jamaica, very sloppy. In terms of lineup, I think, and you guys can let me know what you think you would make changes here. Keep Matt Turner in goal. Back line, you bring Serginho Dest back in. I think he'd add something that Mexico is going to hate to have to deal with. Another person having that dynamic dribbling and passing ability. I think Tim Weah, the reason he works is because you have Serginho Dest driving so much and being able to dribble, go inside, and he can just be that kind of pace merchant on the outside where those Mexican right backs and left backs hate dealing with him because he is just insanely fast. You have to show some attention to Serginho Dest, and then he can just send Weah down the line. So starting Serginho Dest, Tim Ream, I think this is going to be a game where you need more possession. I don't think that Mexico is just going to sit back and counter. So you want somebody who's more comfortable on the ball. You go with Tim Ream. Chris Richards had a bit of a shaky performance, but I think he is obviously still the best option. And then Anthony Robinson, again, shaky performance, but best option by a large margin there. I think the midfield is probably the biggest question. I think you have a lock with Gio Reyna at the 10 spot, especially versus Mexico. They're going to be pressing. They're going to have pressure on you. You need somebody who can hold the ball. Gio Reyna, Weston McKennie, and I'm going with Johnny Cardoso as our 6. I think late in the game, you could also go to a Tyler Adams, kind of like what happened there. I don't think you start Tyler Adams and then sub him off. I think it's much better in a final with the intensity to start with a Johnny and then go to a Tyler late. Like I said earlier, that Dest Weah combo is good and has proven that it's good against Mexico. So I'm going with Weah out wide. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna switch over to the other wing. I'm gonna go with Pulisic, and then finally up top, I think I'm going with Haji Wright. I think Balogun still has a pretty good shout because his quality just is there, and he has shown that he's very good with the Gio Reyna to make a lot of runs. But I think Haji Wright is something that Mexico has not faced before, and I think at a certain point for the U.S. and for Gregg Berhalter, you just have to ride with the hot hand. And Haji Wright running off of 2 goals, just scored a winner in the FA Cup to send them to the semifinal as well. His confidence is going to be through the fucking roof, and for good reason. And I think for the U.S., they like Haji. There's a good relationship between a lot of these players and Haji from the youth days. You give him a big start here. If things aren't working, you still have Balogun and Pepe off the bench. So I think, you have options off the bench either way you go with that. But What do you guys think? Is it Haji to start, or do you stick with a Flo Balogun? I think Pepe, after his performance, maybe not convincing of a starting spot.
I'd take Weah out of my lineup. I put Pulisic
Haji
over on
in.
the right, and then I put Haji on the left. And then I'd probably have Balogun still in the middle, and Haji can make some more striker-oriented runs coming off that left side. Pulisic's a little more freed up.
You think Pulisic and Dest on the same side is a good combo? Do you think it's the combo play, or do you think you keep Pulisic on that left side just so you have a bit different styles there?
I think it could work. I mean, we haven't seen it really that much in the national team. I just think Pulisic's pretty good off that side. That's where he plays for Milan, and I like what Haji offers more than what Weah can provide currently, just with his goal scoring form.
Yeah, I would not at all be opposed to see Haji out wide, and both Balogun and Haji making runs in with Gio Reyna. Whew.
Right.
That could be dangerous. Nick, do you see the vision? Do you see the vision there?
Yeah, I see the vision and it's fucking terrifying because all I see is Mexico running down that left-hand side. Like, holy, that is not a. I don't know if I want Pulisic Dest as my wing combo there. So I'd keep Pulisic on the left. I'd go Balogun down the middle, and I'd go Weah on the right. I think Haji's proven me wrong. I think Haji is showed that he can make an impact at the national team level. I think it's fine to have him make an impact off the bench. I don't think there's a question as to the talent levels between Ballo and Haji Wright. I understand Haji Wright's playing well, but Ballo's our best striker. And let Ballo play with Gio a little bit. Like that second goal, especially that Haji scored in extra time. That is Ballo's bread and butter. That little run in behind, right off the shoulder. Ballo can do that every day of the week, and I think does it more consistently. I think Haji is then a great option that if this game is tied heading into the 65th minute, bring Haji on. Let's find a goal, and I'll feel confident seeing him warming up and subbing onto the pitch. So I'd still keep Weah for the dynamics. Flag said it. Dest and Weah combo I think is a really good one. They understand each other really well, so I'm good with that. And yeah, outside of that, I like the midfield with Johnny, Gio. Honestly, I'd put Tyler Adams in there because Mexico fucking runs. But if he's not ready for 60 minutes, then pick one of the other guys.
All right. Boys, it is Mexico, USA, the CONCACAF Clasico, El Tri, USA, a storied history. Score predictions. Mike, let's start with you.
2-0, USA.
2-0. Nick, what are we thinking?
I'll go 1-0 USA.
1-0. I'm going with my comrade Mikel over there. I'm going 2-0. Gregg Berhalter did not have the boys ready for Jamaica. I don't think a manager is needed when you're playing Mexico to get ready for a game. If you're not amped up for this one as a US player, you need to be fucking gone. 2-0. If they come out like they did versus Jamaica, it could be a battering with Mexico on top, but I don't think they will. 2-0 is my prediction. We will see you after the game for a review of what happens here on Tuesday. Until then, peace.